and welcome to this inaugural episode of Oxygen Gauge. And I'm delighted to be joined here today by Pete Murphy, who is Chief Sales Officer at Nebula Global Services. Welcome, Pete.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me.
Well, over the next 4 episodes, we're going to be talking about channel services. And when I think about channel services, I like to think of it as being similar in some ways to distribution, in the sense that every MSP, every partner, every reseller needs a channel services provider. They can't exist without the services, the professional services and managed services you provide. But the channel services market is in flux. There's new entrants, there's new models coming in, and that's why we're here today. We're going to be talking today about the new era for channel services. And for those not familiar with you, please, can you just share your background and your experience in the channel services market to date?
Yeah, so 15 years now. I joined in 2009. I was in software sales previous in the motor trade, but joined the channel in 2009, an opportunistic meet, and spent 12 years at a privately owned channel services organization, various sales roles, climbed the ranks. And I think once that organization got acquired in 2016, by at the time the world's largest distributor of technology, stayed on a few years after that. So I've seen startup mode right through to that bigger corporate giant. And a few years ago, thankfully got the opportunity to meet Ross Teague as he was starting Nebula. And I wanted to get back into that startup mentality that I really enjoyed, albeit this was on a global scale. And yeah, it's been quite the journey since.
And where did Nebula sit in the channel services market, and what would you say is your USP?
We've got quite a few USPs. The major one is that we're global, truly global. Over 160 countries covered with our technical resources. We're very much outcome led, so we don't get driven by the technology and the vendors. It's more around what is the outcome that the client's looking for here, what's the result, what's the goal, and then we work backwards to create the solution from that. I think there's a real trust and transparency within the way that we work with our channel, which again, I think holds us in really good stead. And we have a really strong sustainability message and ESG strategy, which we're seeing more and more now being driven by clients as part of RFPs and the outcomes that they're looking to drive. And the way that we can track carbon footprints and make a lot of our projects and contracts carbon neutral and carbon positive is quite the USP, I feel. And I think, from what we're seeing, the channel agrees.
Sure. And where are you experiencing the main areas for growth from a services perspective?
I think it's those reoccurring revenues. So we've invested a lot, for example, in our remote and on-site managed service capability, especially in that sort of cloud infrastructure vendor area. So we've got some great annuity services that can help our channel recognize that consistent flow of revenue and value into their clients.
Great. And just to finish off, what are the 3 non-negotiable things that IT channel services need to provide to their reseller and MSP customers in today's market?
I think that there's a lot of non-negotiables, I feel, but the top 3 I think is to be consultative in the way that you approach the client's needs. So being very much outcome driven, having customer success at the forefront of everything that you're talking about. I think trust and transparency is absolutely vital, and I think that accountability is really important as a non-negotiable. I think that often it's when things go wrong and you've shown how you've put it right is where you can be fairly judged as a channel customer. So not shying away, being on the front line, rolling your sleeves up and helping put a situation right. Thankfully, it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, I think that's truly when you show the character of yourselves as an organization, that you're willing to hold your hands up and fix whatever the challenge has been. So that would be a really important non-negotiable.
No, well, thanks, Pete, for explaining that. And it's great to have chatted about how it's a new era for channel services. It's certainly something that I've seen new players coming into the market, new disruptors, new models. So really good to talk in depth about that. Thank you.
No, thanks, Doug.